Hey everybody, Howard Jacobson here. And here, even louder. Howard Jacobson here, Chief of Behavioral Science at WellStart Health, co-author of Sick to Fit, host of the Plant Yourself podcast, and your interlocutor today on this Wellcast. Today I want to talk about what happens when you give in to pressure. And it could be peer pressure from other people. And it can feel like peer pressure, right? Like the kind that we see these, high school movies about. And, hey, Lynn, good morning. Where the kid's getting bad advice and we're like rooting, no, don't listen. Or peer pressure can come in the form of just a norm. Like, hey, everyone's going out. We're all going to the bar. Come on along. And just, okay, you say yes to one thing and then to another. And then at a certain point, it feels like you're in the mainstream of this culture, whatever it is. It's your office culture, your family culture, neighborhood culture. And you're just kind of going along and it just feels weird. And so at any point, once you said yes so many times, to just draw a line and say, no, I don't, that's not for me. I don't do that. It's like when I, meet someone for like the 9th time and we're friendly and we recognize each other and we say hello, but I don't know who their name. And like, I can't ask them now. That would be too embarrassing. Because if I asked them and they told me and then I forgot, or I never asked, we just have to like dance around this for the rest of our lives. And maybe I'll move to New Zealand and it won't be a problem anymore. So there's that kind of pressure too, that isn't anyone putting pressure on you. There's nobody overtly saying, we expect you to behave a certain way. We expect you to eat the foods we're eating, drink the things we're drinking, tell the jokes we're telling, laugh at the jokes we're laughing at. It's just a sort of a human instinct to go along. And, this tribal instinct to just be like everybody else, to do the things that everybody else does, is deeply ingrained in us. And it's evolutionarily a really smart thing. It's a great shortcut, right? Everyone else is running away, running north. And the one who goes, I wonder why everyone's running north. I think I'm going to go south and check it out, is probably the one who didn't get to survive and pass on their genes. So when everybody runs north, we run north. And of course, there is the fact that, humans are not solitary hunters, that we needed to communicate in order to bring down the big game. And we needed to communicate in order to raise young, because my God, our young are helpless for a really long time. Mia and I went hiking this past weekend in the Smoky Mountains. It was up near Asheville, Blue Mountains. It was mountains, Appalachians. There were mountains. And, our kids are in their, 20-ish is. So we just, the two of us, and we were walking, and we found this beautiful overhang, and we started to sit down and meditate there. And, there's nothing like two meditating adults to attract families with lots of small children and loud children. And these were like 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, some of them, 9, 10, who knows, and they're all still pretty helpless. Like they couldn't survive on their own. And so we got this really long childhood. And so we need each other to help raise the young, to help with the hunting, to help with the gathering, to help with all the division of labor. We're such a social species that anything, whoa, I hit the thing. No, come back up. There we go. Anything, no, down a little. Perfect. Anything that could threaten our bond with the group is a serious survival threat. Right? We didn't live in a world of Facebook groups and social media and blogs and forums where we could, say F you to the world that didn't believe what we believed and then just hang out with our own kind. We have this luxury that we get to pretend that we belong to communities that aren't there for us. They're not going to come over if our house floods. They're not going to stitch our wound if we get gashed. But in our minds, we've got these communities. But really, like any any group of people we're going to want to get along with. And so what do we do when we are spending so much energy and time getting along that we are sliding farther and farther away from our health goals? Or we're working really hard. Listen, there's a lot of people who join the Well Start program, and they really make tremendous strides during the week. And then on a weekend, they'll go to a family gathering, and there'll be some stress there, and there'll be all the people, and people are either telling them, very often telling them what they think of a plant-based diet. Oh, that can't be healthy for you. Or they're just saying, hey, come on, let's make the butter cake the way we've always made it. Or they're just doing their thing, and they're not trying to influence them at all, but still, like, they can feel like they're being drawn back, pulled back into these old unhealthy habits. So what I want to talk about today is boundaries. Boundaries is a really important and challenging topic, because a boundary is something that we set up. It's not like a wall or a fence that just exists. A boundary, the way I understand it, is a much more conceptual delineation. And as such, it has to be defended with energy. Last couple weeks ago, I published a podcast interview with Adrienne Marie Brown. And one of the things she writes in her book, Pleasure Activism, is your no makes the way for your yes. Your no, when you say no, makes the way for your yes, makes the way for your ability to say yes. What does that mean? Like, I've been saying yes for years to things that I wasn't so sure about. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, I'll go along. Yeah, I'll do this. Okay, I don't want to make waves. I don't want to make a conflict. I'll figure this out another time, and I'll just go along right now. Those are all yes. They're all saying, yes, I agree to do this thing. Now, they're not full-throated yes. They're not head nodding up and down, pelvis vibrating in excitement yes. They're not orgasmic yes. They're a cowardly no. I would rather not, but I guess I'm gonna. They're a resigned yes. They're the yes of defeat. So Adrienne Marie Brown continues. She says, your no makes the way for your yes. Boundaries create the container within which your yes is authentic. Boundaries create the container. So a boundary, this is a boundary for water. It creates a container where the water can live and be, and not be on my desk and on my carpet and on my toes, but it gets to be the water. And our boundaries can create a container in which our yes is authentic. So in other words, if you cannot really say no in a situation, everyone's going out to eat, the Cheesecake Factory, and they're all going to order greasy fried food and giant soft drinks and dessert. And you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess I can't resist that. And I just want to get along. I don't want people to make comments about my salad and not having dessert, or just having can I get a bowl full of blueberries? Is that even possible there? I don't know. Well, I'm not going to bother. I'll just get the ganache cheesecake with the chocolate cherry flakes on top. But that's not a yes, right? And as such, like, how enjoyable is that thing, is that meal, is that experience, if all the while you're experiencing it as, yeah, I really shouldn't be doing this, right? That's like, if you're going to do it, effing enjoy it. Like, go for it. If you're going to eat a piece of cake, at least get the maximum amount of satisfaction and pleasure out of that cake, rather than, let me have the cake with a giant side of guilt, please, which is how most of us do that stuff. And as a result, we get the momentary pleasure, and at the same time, the guilt, the shame, the negative feelings, and it's almost like a race to the bottom. Like you've heard, like, you know, celery is like this negative calorie food because it takes more calories to chew it than you get from the celery. I don't know if that's true or not, but you know, when we're eating in a place of guilt and shame where we didn't set up a boundary and we have this yes that's actually just a resigned give up no, it's a negative pleasure food. No matter how many, you know, pounds of dopamine we're pumping into our brains, it's still, there's more shame behind it than positivity. She continues, being able to say no makes yes a choice. Being able to say no means that when you say yes, you really mean it. So think about someone in your life who's good at saying no. And by good at saying no, I mean they say it when they mean it, and they can do it without a scene, without an emotional drama, where they don't, oh, I would love to, oh, I'm so sorry I can't, but I just, or make some excuse, oh, I would love to, but I'm going to be away, or, oh, I've just got an esophageal thingy and I can't have this, and like, right? Someone who can actually say no, and then without making you feel bad, like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not able to do that. No, I'm busy. I've got a meeting then. No, I'm not gonna, I don't eat that. That's not for me anymore. Right? Can just say it straightforwardly. And you know that when you ask them something, that they have the freedom to say no, then you know that when they say yes, they mean it. And that's the key. That's what she means. Boundaries create the container within which your yes is authentic. Your yes means yes. It doesn't mean I don't have the guts to say no, or I don't have the practice saying no, or I feel like something terrible will happen to me if I say no. So saying no, being good, getting good at setting that boundary. I will not cross this boundary. I don't eat recreational sugar. I don't eat deep fried foods. I don't eat animal products. I meditate. I don't not meditate twice a day. Right? Like sometimes in the evening, there's things I would rather do than meditate, or things that I in the moment would rather do, but I've set this boundary. It says, no, I don't go to bed without meditating for the second time. Which means that the other people, hey, can we do this? No, I made this commitment. So here's where the things start bleeding into each other. We can talk about boundaries, external boundaries against peer pressure. Like, okay, I am going to go to the Cheesecake Factory and I'm going to have my salad. I'm going to have water with a twist of lime instead of a soda fountain drink or a soft drink. And I'm not going to have the dessert, or I'm going to see if there's a piece of fruit. And I'm not going to eat until I'm full. I'm going to eat until I'm satisfied. And those are boundaries that you set inside yourself, and then you can represent them externally. It's awfully hard to represent external boundaries that you haven't set internally. But it can seem harder to defend your boundaries against yourself. Right? Because that's what happens when we go, I'm going to go on a diet, and then we fall off the wagon. You know how much I hate that phrase. Or we say we're going to go join the gym, and then a couple of mornings we're too tired to get out of bed. We ignore the alarm, and then we're former gym rats, and we're no longer going because we didn't really set a boundary, and we didn't really defend it. So it's like, don't cross this line. Oh, you crossed that line? Well, how about this dotted line? Don't cross that one. Oh, you did? Well, how about this imaginary line? Right? The more the pig, the sloth, the negative force, the psychopathic survival drive inside us sees that we're not serious, the more lines it crosses. So the solution isn't necessarily to choose the strictest boundary ever and defend it. Like, I will never again eat anything that doesn't come from a juice bar. It's not that. It's to start practicing boundaries. It's to start practicing a no. practicing that no with conviction. And when you have conviction, it's much easier to not make it a drama, to not make the other person feel bad, to not make yourself feel bad. Glenn Livingston has some great lines where people want to offer him stuff, alcohol. So, nah, it doesn't work for me. Yeah, no, that's not me. I don't do that. Very straightforward, very simple, non-threatening, because it's not global. It's not, no, nobody should ever have this stuff. This is terrible, but it doesn't work for me. And if you've come across someone who disrespects your own opinion of what works for you, then you know you've got something of a complicated, if not toxic, relationship. And that's another place where we end up when we start down the road of defending boundaries. And I don't want to start you there, because that can be terrifying. Like, we know there are people in our lives that we have let in too close. We've given them the keys. The voice is coming from inside the house. There's a line in Adrienne Marie Brown's book, Pleasure Activism. I don't have written down, so I'm going to try to get it, something from memory. And I think she quotes someone else as saying this, that a boundary is the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. Oops, I beeped again. I'll say it again. Sans beep. A boundary is the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. So there's people that you can love, but only half a continent away. You can't love them if you're in their house, if they're in your bed, if they're your boss, if they're your cubicle mate. But you don't have to hate them. You don't have to throw them out of the universe, but you have to say, this is the distance at which we're okay, at which I'm okay with you. That's advanced boundary work. Let's start with the simple boundaries. And the simplest boundaries are those behavioral boundaries that we already know we want to maintain because they make us feel good. Because not eating recreational sugar, because not drinking alcohol enhances our lives, because not getting movement in every day enhances our lives. And so we start to set little boundaries, and we practice them on ourselves, and then we practice them with other people. And we can start expanding what is a boundary, how vociferously do we defend it, do we really need to defend it? This is one of the things we think when we start setting a boundary, is that we need to explain it to everybody and justify it and have debate-worthy repartee ready when someone questions us. And the truth is, we don't need any of that. We simply, when we are confident, people don't question us. And if they do, and we are confident in reply, they stop questioning us. Right? People are poking for the weaknesses. Right? They're actually showing you. It's like the dentist poking in your mouth with that sharp thing, like, oh, there's a loose filling, and there's a bit of decay, and there's some, gum soreness. Like the thing causing pain, but it's not causing the problem. It's identifying the problem. So people running roughshod over your boundaries is not their problem. It's pointing out areas where you can shore them up yourself. So I'm going to stop there, see if there are any questions. Reminder that WellStart Health starts new programs frequently. And if you are ready to put on your diving gloves and grab the steering wheel of your own health destiny, we would love to be your driving instructors. We can't, actually sit next to you with another wheel and brake. You're going to have to do it on your own, but we can certainly guide you and put you in a community of support where practicing boundaries is encouraged, is trained, is tutored, so that when you leave us, you have the strength to go out into the world and say what you want, what's important to you. You can check that out at wellstarthealth.com/program. And if there's no questions, I'm going to sign off for today. It was lovely getting a chance to share my thoughts on boundaries. Really, we have Facebook Lives every weekday. So if you have questions for future ones, you can always post them in the comments here. And I look forward to talking to you again. Have a great day.